What's up, everybody? My name is Shannon and I am still waiting for my satyr. If you have noticed that behind me looks different, then congratulations, you have eyes. And if you're wondering where I am, I'll never tell. Today we are going to be talking about the sequel to I Hunt Killers, Game by Barry Lyga. This is probably one of the best sequels I have ever read, aside from obviously like these books right here on the top shelf behind me. Game was absolutely thrilling from start to finish. It was a hair long, but that's because the plot was very convoluted and kind of like, when I got to the end I was just like, oh my god, stop, my head hurts, there's more conspiracies, and there's just a lot of stuff, and I really need to read the third one, Blood of My Blood, but it's not available. I had to put it on hold. I don't know when I'm gonna get it, which just means that I'm gonna be filled with feelings until I don't even know when. Game takes place a couple of months after the events of I Hunt Killers, and it seems like word has kind of gotten around that Jazz was pretty awesome at taking down the serial killer. At least that's what you kind of just have to roll with, because when a cop shows up and tells Jazz like, hey, come to New York with me and help us catch this serial killer that has been evading us for these past few months, I was kind of like, hold up, that seems a little odd to me. That kind of stood out, and basically the whole explanation is just like, oh, well, obviously Jazz is a professional at hunting serial killers, so of course cops are gonna come and take him away. So you just kind of have to roll with that. However, it was nice that we got to go to a different location and see like a different kind of murderer, because that's kind of what I was afraid of for this book, was like, okay, we've kind of already seen, Lobo's not, I don't really know what they're gonna do. So taking it to a new setting definitely elevated the story and made it very cool. The way that everything played out was just insane. The plot is so convoluted and it just really gets to you. Like about 3/4 of the way through, I was like, oh my god, is it this thing? When I got there, I was like, oh my god, it's this thing! Like, it was just very cool, and you're always guessing. It switches perspectives, so it's not just told from Jazz's point of view, it was also told from Connie's and Howie's, and then we also get to see it from Billy's from time to time, which I like when it's told from his and from the killers, because we kind of get a little bit more insight into like what's happening, so it's a little bit more dramatic irony, but I didn't like it being told so much from Connie's or Howie's, and that was mostly because for the longest time it didn't really lend to the story. The only thing we really got from it was that we kind of saw how Jazz seemed to other people instead of just being all in Jazz's head. But it does come back around. What they were doing was important in the end, but it just seemed to kind of take a while to get there. Nonetheless, everything ties up in the end. Like, every little detail comes together in this beautiful conclusion, and it just makes me crazy because I need to read the third one. Like, I thought that the other one messed me up with its ending. No. This one just, I need to read the third one. I need it now. Library, why can't you have it? So once again, I'm about to get into a couple little spoilery things, so if you want to hit mute until the spoiler tag goes away, go ahead and do that now. I'm not gonna give away the gigantic twist in the end that just like leaves you totally messed up, but I am going to talk about what actually was going on with these murders and who the murderers are, so here we go. So this is what was so great about this book, because they were chasing down this hat dog killer, which the name is totally dumb, but it's because they keep finding bodies and some of them have a hat carved into them and other ones have a dog carved into it. Everything is really important in these books, so I was like, obviously this is gonna have some meaning that they're just not getting, and I kept thinking about it, and I kept thinking like, okay, well, it's called Game. They keep saying, you know, like, welcome to the game and all this other stuff. They keep getting these phone calls whenever they switch back to the killer's perspective where he's like, it's 9, 4 and 5, 9, did you hear me? And I'm like, okay, what does that mean? And then I started thinking about it and just like, why is this kind of making sense? And they kept saying the street names, and I was like, oh my god, the killers were playing Monopoly. Like, oh my gosh, it was insane. Like, it turned out to actually be 2 separate killers, cat and dog, playing Monopoly, and Billy was rolling the dice, and I just, oh my gosh, like it's so cool. Who thinks of that? Like that's absolutely amazing. Like this author is so creative and coming up with fun ways for murderers to kill people. Like I certainly would never have thought of that. I was also kind of hoping that at the very end when Connie was like on Atlantic or whatever, that she was going to kind of turn out to be one of the victims. Not that she was gonna die, but that she was gonna, you know, get in trouble. Instead, she kind of goes and sees Billy, which is equally bad because now Billy has her, but I thought that kind of would have been a little bit more fun, but you know, whatever. I did like Connie's arc this time with her being connected to whoever this overall killer is, you know, like who is Ugly Jay, what is Billy doing, what is the Crow King. I thought it was very interesting, and it was nice that it was separate from Jazz because it kind of lets you see it from somebody who doesn't think like a serial killer, so I did sort of forgive it being told from her perspective, even though in the beginning it was all just, why won't you sleep with me, which was kind of irritating. So overall, if you are not reading this series, what is wrong with you? Get a move on. These books are just so absolutely just, they take my breath away. They're so great. You need to be reading them. Once again, there is nothing explicit in them exactly, but when you're going really in depth on like how these people are killed and like talking about, oh look, this killer put their guts in a KFC bucket and look, I found them. Like, you know, it's a little weird. And especially this book goes in a little deeper with the rape stuff and like what that means for a serial killer, because it is very important later on, especially with what's going on with Jazz in this book. So it is for mature audiences, so, you know, small children definitely. I would not read this to them as a bedtime story unless, you know, you're Billy Dent and you want them to grow up to be a serial killer. But, you know, hey, I'm not judging anybody. That is everything I got for you today, guys. I'll see you next week.